Hey, what's happening, Baltimore Ravens fans? Welcome back to the Bald Perspective. On your way in, go ahead and hit the like button, hit subscribe if you've never subscribed, and tap that notification bell so you get updates when we upload new content. Let's talk. So, I've been away for about 5 days, but in that time frame, we understand that Mel Kiper Jr. came out last week on two separate occasions and spoke in a matter of a fact kind of way that the Baltimore Ravens will draft a first round quarterback in the 2027 draft if Lamar Jackson and the Ravens don't get it done. All right. And he spoke specifically about Lamar Jackson playing better in 2026. The direction that this is another disrespectful approach to commenting about Lamar Jackson. So, what's the ball perspective? The ball perspective is simple. Anything's possible. Could the Baltimore Ravens draft a future quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens in the first round in 2027? Sure, they could. In fact, I think as of right now, it's a 50-50 chance. But this is not something new post a Mel Kiper comment. This is something I said in 2024. This is also something I said in 2025 that Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens may be closer to a departure than a long-term extension. And what happened right on schedule? The Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson have not agreed upon an extension just yet. And that's in concert with owner Steve Bisciotti coming out and saying he wanted to get the deal done before free agency. Well, we are closer to the end of free agency. In fact, free agency has taken a pause until after the draft. So we're probably 3 weeks-ish before free agency starts up in that final push before offseason workouts really begin, OTAs, things of that nature. And so there is no deal done. But Shadi said at that time he had communicated that same message to Lamar Jackson. And we understand the EDC got that same message, but there is no deal done. Now, the truth of the matter is Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens have consistently had trouble getting deals done in a timely manner. I'm not here to speculate why. I'm not here to talk about what I don't think is a great job by EDC necessarily. I'm not here to talk about the inclusion of an agent would make things better. That's not this conversation. The conversation really is about could the Baltimore Ravens draft a first round quarterback next season? Yes. But that's because I already believed that it could happen. You see, the truth of the matter is we are going into the 2026 season, which is 9 years of the Lamar Jackson era. And whether you believe in Super Bowl windows or whether you believe in things just play out from year to year, the Ravens have not really been close, with the exception of the 2023-24 season, which ended in the AFC Championship. And we understand since that time, the Baltimore Ravens have stepped down 2 levels of football. In fact, you could say 3 levels. AFC Championship, we went out in 2023-24. The next season, which was Lamar Jackson's best season, an MVP caliber season, the Baltimore Ravens were put out of the playoffs in the divisional round. And then this year, we don't even make the playoffs. So therefore, the third level would have been a wild card exit, but we didn't even make the playoffs. So we are less successful 2 years after the pinnacle. With understanding, we've changed the administration from top to bottom with the exception of EDC. But at some point, every quarterback leaves the team that drafted them. And so I was having a conversation with some dudes between some offline family gathering and then just some other sports conversations, not from an internet context. And a lot of them were Pittsburgh Steelers fans, which is a team that can relate to some major change in the last 5 or 6 seasons. The Pittsburgh Steelers had Ben Roethlisberger for a long time, who helped them get 2 Super Bowls and some sustained success. They also had Mike Tomlin, who never had a losing season, who transitioned out of Pittsburgh this year, whether they were going to fire him or whether he was just going to step away as he did. Both of those transitions, the loss of Ben Roethlisberger due to retirement, and then the transition of Mike Tomlin, are foundational shifts. And so the question in our conversations were about, why do teams make foundational shifting moves, whether that's a head coach change, whether that's a quarterback change? And the conclusion that was garnered was that success was no longer happening. And what they pointed to specifically for the Pittsburgh Steelers, having no losing season is a great accomplishment. That speaks to success. And making the playoffs and, all those kind of things is a point of success. But there was no real chance or opportunity for the Steelers to win the Super Bowl as they saw it as Pittsburgh fans. Now, I'm the only Ravens fan in this conversation group, right, which was about 6 or 7 people. Nevertheless, so when I come from 2 foundational moves from a division rival, and most of these dudes were old school 55 plus, then I come and I look at our situation. Well, the first foundational shift was the exit of John Harbaugh. And then the only practical shift is a change at quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Now, let's be clear. I'm not saying they should change quarterbacks. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm leaning into why a Mel Kiper would make the suggestive statement that the Baltimore Ravens would draft a new quarterback next season. Because at some point, like I previously stated, every quarterback coach combo leaves their team. And after 9 years, if we don't have a Super Bowl in 2026 or get very close or see that this team is making substantial progress from a non-playoff season to, making a playoff run of some sort, getting in and doing some damage, I could see the Baltimore Ravens making a change. I could. Not that I'm an advocate of it, but I live in reality, and at some point, a change will happen. And so when I look at Mel Kiper's comments, it didn't make me feel anything at all. I didn't even research why he would have said it. I didn't even read a full article or an analysis of it. I just took it on face value and I said, okay, it's possible. But I've already said that 2 or 3 months to 2 or 3 years prior to Mel Kiper saying it. And my thing has always been, as it pertains to a change at quarterback, a Lamar Jackson situation that has him leaving Baltimore, is when the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson don't get deals done in a timely manner. And then a lot of the commentary then begins to include, well, why doesn't this conversation happen about a Joe Burrow, a Josh Allen, maybe even you could say a Justin Herbert, maybe a Trevor Lawrence? And I've already stated that the commentary around Lamar Jackson is because when you say Lamar Jackson's name and is not leaning directly in the lane of positivity, he's so great, he is transcendent, he is the ultimate talent at quarterback. If it doesn't lean that way, it typically leans the total opposite direction. And that controversy generates clicks, likes, shares, and viewership. That's just the truth. You see, nobody's really going to be banging the table, upset, anything like that if Josh Allen was talked about in a trade. Joe Burrow was talked about in a trade, or their teams beginning to make preparation to move forward. Nobody's doing that. It's not because they're not talented. It's because The race factor generates a buzz. It's just true. And if we quit denying, see, if you're not thoughtful enough to think outside of the context of racist and racism, you will have an understanding that race is a cash cow. Because anything that's divided by race will absolutely bring views to the table. That's why Lamar Jackson is talked about in the vein that he is. Because anything that says he's not a great quarterback, anything that says he's not top 3, top 5, top 2, right? Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for anybody to analyze Lamar Jackson, what he's done, because that's all you can analyze a player on is what he's done, and say that he hasn't been great. And being great doesn't mean he's perfect, because no quarterback's perfect. That's why you don't have a quarterback with a passer rating that's perfect. You don't have a completion percentage that's perfect. That's why you don't have a quarterback that's never had an interception, so on and so forth. So to say that Lamar Jackson isn't great is just plain foolishness. But when people lean in the opposite direction of him being a great quarterback, it's because of the controversy is what generates the buzz. The buzz is what generates ratings, clicks, likes, and that pushes the green button. The green button meaning printing money, printing paper. It's just true. So no, I don't believe that Mel Kiper's comments is outlandish. I don't think they're unreasonable because I absolutely think it could happen. And the main reason that I think it could happen, just like it could have happened in 2023, is because they can't seem to get contracts done in a timely manner. And we understand that Lamar Jackson did come out and say in that season, off season specifically, that he had requested a trade. Right? Get a contract done or trade me. And so now here we are with Lamar Jackson under contract for the next 2 seasons, but we understand his cap is right around $85 million. Well, we know right off that Lamar Jackson cannot play as the Baltimore Ravens quarterback in 2027 with an $85 million cap hit. It's just practical. And so either a contract gets done and he stays longer, or or he's traded. So you guys let me know, did you think Mel Kiper's comments was outlandish? Or when you take a step back and take the anything's possible approach, could you kind of see it? But until the next video, I'm your guy Boulanger, and I'm out.